"Who's the girl in the dusty overalls by the elevator?" the security guard asked. "She's been down there since dawn." "I don't know," the receptionist replied, leaning in for a better look. "But she just opened the panel like it was a puzzle she's solved 100 times. Weird thing is, this elevator's been broken for months. Engineers gave up on it." Just then, the elevator doors gave a soft chime. They opened. And out stepped a young woman with grease on her cheek, and a necklace that made the CEO freeze in his tracks. Her name was Emily Grace. 23 years old. Quiet. Sharp. Always buried beneath a jumpsuit too big for her small frame. She wasn't even on the company payroll. She was a temp assistant from the janitorial agency, mopping floors and replacing paper towels in the bathrooms of Foster Industries, one of the largest real estate corporations in New York City. No one noticed Emily. Not really. They noticed her mop, her bucket, the occasional squeak of her shoes as she passed down the hall. But no one asked about her. Where she came from. Why she always looked like she hadn't slept enough. Why she sometimes paused in front of the engineering room door, eyes lingering like she knew something about the blueprints inside. Emily lived in a shelter uptown. The kind that locked its doors at 9 p.m. and served watery soup for dinner. Her mother had died of cancer when Emily was 15. Her father, who once built elevators for a living, had disappeared when she was 7. Vanished without a trace. No letters. No goodbye. Just a necklace he left on her birthday, a brass medallion shaped like a gear, engraved with an E and a tiny lightning bolt. She wore it every day. It was all she had. The 56-story glass tower of Foster Industries had everything, except one working executive elevator. It had stopped functioning 6 months ago. The best engineers had looked at it. External contractors charged the company thousands for diagnostics. New panels were installed. Circuit boards replaced. Still, nothing. Every time the CEO, Richard Foster, stepped into the elevator, it jerked, blinked, and refused to move. Eventually, they sealed it off. Emily heard about it in whispers. "Waste of space," one executive muttered. "Can't believe no one's figured it out," said another. "It's like it's cursed." But Emily didn't believe in curses. She believed in something her father once told her, back when she was a girl sitting in his workshop surrounded by wires and tiny tools. Everything broken can be understood. And everything understood can be fixed. One early morning, long before the lobby filled with suits and briefcases, Emily snuck behind the caution tape. She crouched by the elevator panel and pried it open with a small screwdriver she'd kept since she was 11. Inside, a web of chaos. Wires mismatched. A missing fuse. And beneath all that, a secondary control board, one that was obsolete, rarely used anymore. Her eyes lit up. She knew this system. Her father had designed it. Her fingers moved like they had memory of their own, snipping, reconnecting, soldering. Sweat trickled down her back as the hours passed. Her hands bled slightly where a sharp edge cut through her glove. Then, click. The lights came on. The elevator sighed, like something long asleep had finally awakened. It worked. Emily stood up, chest rising with cautious hope. But just as she stepped out, a tall man in an expensive gray suit appeared. "Richard Foster." "Who authorized you to?" he began, then stopped. His eyes dropped to the necklace hanging on her chest. Silence. He turned pale. Deathly pale. "Where did you get that?" he asked, voice barely a whisper. Emily backed away. It was my father's." "What was his name?" "Evan Grace. He worked in elevator engineering. Disappeared 16 years ago." Richard staggered slightly. "Your father," he swallowed hard. "He didn't disappear. He worked for me." What? Richard's face twisted in a memory he didn't want to recall. Evan was brilliant. Too brilliant. He built systems no one else could. He once told me, "This design is for my daughter. So she knows I was thinking of her when I built it." That necklace, it was the prototype key for a fail-safe he created in case the system ever failed. It wasn't just jewelry. It's the missing piece. Emily looked down at it. Her fingers trembled. He left the company after an accident. A fall in the shaft. Everyone thought he died. But no body was found. We buried an empty casket. Tears welled in her eyes. He's really gone? Richard nodded. And you just unlocked a system no one else could. Just like he said someone would. By noon, word had spread. The elevator worked. And it wasn't just repaired, it was optimized. Smooth. Silent. Efficient. When Richard held a company-wide meeting to explain, he pointed at Emily. "This girl," he said, "is the reason our most advanced system works again. She's more than a janitor. She's an engineer in spirit. A legacy in motion." There was an uncomfortable silence. Then applause. Real. Resounding. He offered her a job that day. Not as a cleaner, but as an apprentice engineer, with full scholarship support for night classes at the technical institute her father once taught at. Emily stood on the rooftop weeks later, gazing out at the city. The sun was setting, turning glass windows gold. She still wore the necklace. But now it hung beside a new ID badge, Emily Grace, Junior Engineer, Foster Industries. She touched the gear medallion and whispered, "I found you, Dad. In wires. In blueprints. In the silence between circuits." She was no longer invisible. She was no longer just the girl with the mop. She was the girl who fixed the elevator no one could, and in doing so, lifted herself from the shadows of grief into the light of purpose. Sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest legacies. Sometimes, the things we inherit are not riches, but blueprints for resilience. And sometimes, all it takes to rise is believing in what everyone else has given up on. Never overlook the one who walks silently. They may hold the key to the future, and the past.